In the dark, you can see them. Little lights getting brighter. DataFam. Look up. Ooh. Oh, stars in the darkness, watch them come alive. One by one they're rising, lighting up the sky. Adam's got the vision, eyes on what's next. Data cloud AI, putting Tableau to the test. North Star of the data fam, lighting up the night. He started rising stars. Now watch them take flight. If you look into the darkness, you can see them come alive. There's a whole new constellation rising in the sky. It's DataFam, rising stars, burning through the night, turning data into stories, making insights come alive. It's DataFam, rising stars, shining from afar, from the dashboard to the cosmos. Look up. There they are. Ollie's on the tee box. The course is in his sights. 18 holes, one viz. Every tee time shines. Check the course, pick your time. See the status glow. Hole in one design. Now it's time to go. DataFam, rising stars, burning through the night, turning data into stories, making insights come alive. It's DataFam, rising stars, shining from afar, from the dashboard to the cosmos. Look up, there they are. Rosh has got the numbers, workouts in his eyes, muscle maps and PRs, everything displayed just right. Check the sets, watch the reps, watch the numbers rise. Viz of the day, lighting up the skies. Maybe you're a star, maybe you don't know it yet. Maybe your next viz is the one we won't forget. It's DataFam, rising stars, burning through the night, turning data into stories, making insights come alive. It's DataFam, rising stars, shining from afar, from the dashboard to the cosmos. Look up, there they are. Look up.
Welcome, everyone, to the August 2026 meeting of the Tableau Public TUG, where we have a stellar meeting planned for you today because if you could tell from the song, we are celebrating DataFam Rising Stars. This is the initiative formerly known as Tableau Next until Tableau loved that name and took it for themselves. Rising Stars is an initiative that aims to really shine light on folks who are pushing the DataFam forward with their work and their leadership and who have yet to be named ambassadors and visionaries. So our star-studded lineup today includes none other than Adam Mico. He is the founder of DataFam Rising Stars, and he will be in our community spotlight today. And we also have two members of the 2026 Rising Stars cohort joining us as our Viz of the Day authors. We have Ollie Ross Russell. He's going to be teeing up his golf club overview dashboard. And Rosh will take us behind the scenes of his out of this world gym tracker dashboard. And before we get to that main event, just a quick intro of our Tableau Public TUG team. We'll be leading you on this trip through the DataFam galaxy of stars. I am Lisa Trescott. I'm joined by Preeti Lodha, Rob Taylor, and Eric Howard today. For each of us, just a little bit more about me. I'm a research analyst at Miracosta College, which is in San Diego. It's North County, San Diego. I've been there since 2017, and that is where I started with Tableau. And since then, I've become an ambassador, a visionary, Iron Viz winner back in 2021. Here are some of my favorite Vizes from my Tableau Public profile. There are ones that I just had a lot of fun with. I really enjoy using Tableau Public as kind of just a creative playground to have fun with data and flex creative muscles. Over to Preeti.
Thank you, Lisa. Hello, everyone. I'm Preeti Lodha. I'm the Director of Data Analytics and Operations, also in a higher ed institution, University of Massachusetts. I'm currently in Boston, Massachusetts, and I also serve as the Tableau Public Tableau Ambassador. We went away with the groupings. Those are some of my Vizes that have won awards and have been printed or have been posted onto some of the media channels. So do engage with it. The fun fact is how Americans spend their money visualization has over 1 million views. So if you are ever interested in knowing if your spending is on par, check that out. It is very old data. I should refresh it, but it is always a fun ask to say it, right? 1 million views. So excited to do the hosting segment today.
Hi everyone, I'm Rob Taylor. By day, I'm a specialist BI analyst for JLL, who are a property management company, and I work with Rolls-Royce's buildings, help them analyze their data. But by night, I love playing on Tableau Public, building all sorts of wacky Vizes, pushing my skills, trying to learn how to do new things from everyone in the community. So particularly love being part of this TUG because I love Tableau Public. I'm a 2-time ambassador. Got a few Viz of the days, and this year I was in the top 10 for Iron Viz. So been a really good year. Love being part of it. Over to you, Eric.
Well, thanks. I'm Eric Howard. I'm a Tableau ambassador and leader of the Nashville TUG and this TUG, and spoke at a few Tableau conferences now. In TC26, I talked on AI for the Tableau site admin. At our last Nashville TUG, I did a whole presentation on the Tableau data modeling from your basic joins up through composable data sources. So.
Awesome. So that is your Tableau Public TUG team. Just one quick announcement before we get going, and that is Dreamforce is less than a month away. It's going to be taking place in San Francisco, September 15th through 17th. I will be there, as will Adam Mico, our Community Spotlight member today. So we hope that we will see you there. There's still plenty of time to register, and you can join me and the rest of the Data Fam up in San Francisco in a few weeks. Okay, let's meet our Community Spotlight member for today. So Adam Mico is probably somebody who looks pretty familiar and you probably recognize because he has been the North Star in the Data Fam for some time, but has recently joined Salesforce as the Director of Product Management within the Data Cloud organization and working with Tableau and AI. He spent many years in the Tableau ecosystem, including several as visionary ambassador, building the platform, and more recently exploring what's possible when you pair Tableau with AI. Outside of his product work, Adam founded and leads DataFam Rising Stars, a program that was built to recognize and elevate emerging voices in the DataFam community. So thank you so much for being here, Adam. Welcome.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Unfortunately, today I'm on my phone because the hotel room reception is not great. So again, appreciate you having me.
No worries. We're just glad you were able to make it. So we always ask our Community Spotlight kind of first off, how and when did you start using Tableau, and what background really kind of even led you to discover it in the first place?
It's a great question. My career is completely different than the career that I ended up having, I was an adjudicator. I was making decisions on unemployment insurance claims. I just was the person in the office that knew how to work with Excel. So they wanted to utilize a BI platform. And it's like, Adam, we have these options. You can go with business objects, SAP business objects, or Tableau. Had a look at them and decided very quickly that Tableau was going to be the tool. And that was back in 2011. And I remember that because I took a picture of Tableau because I did an internet search on my phone back then and was able to find it was timestamped at 2011. When I was first introduced to Tableau. And then it was a mind-blowing experience at that time. So that allowed me to really gain a new passion at a time where I didn't think new passions were gainable. I was in my mid-40s at that point.
That's amazing. I feel like so many of us started as the Excel
late 30s, rather. Sorry.
So that's kind of how you got introduced to Tableau, but then tell us a little bit about your journey within the community, like from that first, Tableau Public Viz
Right.
to then ultimately becoming a visionary.
Great question. So I started with the community in 2019. I remember being bored at work. I reclassed at the highest point that I could reclass to, and I'm like, there's really nowhere to go. Maybe I can give back. I realized very quickly that my design skills weren't great, so I had much to learn because I was learning in a silo. I was finding tutorials by Andy Kriebel or Ken Flurledge a number of times before that, but I wasn't really thinking about design and how am I producing to make things visually acceptable and even likable by a general audience. And realized quickly that I can give back some, but I could also learn quite a bit. And that's what ignited my passion for the DataFam. And the other thing, it was my last opportunity to really want to join a community. I'm autistic, and I learned I was autistic a few years before that via diagnosis. And I wanted to give a community a last chance for me to be part of something rather than just be a hermit. So it really gave me an opportunity to blossom and be my authentic self.
I love it. I love that so much. Because many of us do, myself included, know you as a community leader first. You were one of my first people that I was kind of introduced to in the community. So what has it been like kind of transitioning from being someone who was advocating for Tableau from the outside, and now you're kind of helping shape from within Salesforce?
Salesforce and I partner with Tableau quite a bit too. It's a lot of fun because you have an opportunity to see more of what you were guessing at before. There are things that people are doing and opportunities that you didn't know they were thinking about. So there's a lot of things that are in process and being worked on that you had no idea that they were really even considering at that point. And it kind of goes case in point when you saw the Tableau keynote this year that the focus was not just on Tableau Next, it was incorporating everything into every product in Tableau so people all have a scaled experience regardless of where you're at. And that's been interesting to be part of that and seeing how that's flourished.
What's kind of been maybe the biggest surprise about moving from the community to the company side?
So I wouldn't say this is a surprise, but learning how much they really care about each concern a customer has. Because you can't, they care and they talk about things and they work on some of the big problems, but they also look at all the quote unquote small problems that a lot of companies wouldn't even factor in and discard. They try to look at everything to see if there's a way they could incorporate it into, what's happening now or what's happening soon. I don't hear many no's. I hear not yet, depending on priorities and so forth. So that's an incredible thing to see internally is like how motivated people are to make sure that they make every customer happy.
That's really nice to hear. I feel like, especially from such a large company like Salesforce, to know that they're still listening to us. That's nice. That's good.
Yes.
Okay, so today we are celebrating DataFam Rising Stars. You started it all. So tell us kind of how it started and what inspired you to create it.
Another great question. So back in, I believe it was 2020, I created something to have the community be involved in about sharing their thanks for Tableau and what makes them thankful about Tableau. Between that time and the first iteration of DataFam Rising Stars, there were people that were passed over, quote unquote, for ambassador and visionary, and there's a lot of disappointment in the community. So I felt it was difficult for me to see that, and because so many people are making great contributions, but what's missing is not everybody could be celebrated in the same way, because it wouldn't be the same type of celebration at that point. So I want to encourage people to continue doing work, because a lot of people that are DataFam Rising Stars, they're just ambassadors or visionaries in waiting. Maybe they don't know that yet. So it's important for me to make sure that they were given a platform so they could continue doing what they're doing to make them stand out.
That's really great. And so I was part of a Rising Stars cohort in the early days. It is very meaningful, right? When you haven't, gotten any of those Tableau accolades yet, it really meant something to be part of that. So for me personally, thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
What does it mean to you to be a Rising Star?
So I never had the opportunity to be a Rising Star myself. But what it means to me is that I see how many people are so thankful and appreciative of being recognized. It's not a Tableau or a company inspired recognition. It's a community inspired recognition. And that kind of makes it special in its own self. There's no winners or losers. There's only winners in each cohort. And it's important that they're showcased individually. I've always ranked them alphabetically as opposed to any sort of order, because I want to make sure everybody had equal billing, because somebody's work can be a little bit different, but it doesn't make it less relevant. And I want to showcase that some people may have 10,000 followers on LinkedIn and some people may have 30. It doesn't matter how many followers, you could still make an impact if you impact one person. And like 80% of the people that are on DataFam Rising Stars, they were nominated by someone else. I encourage self-nominations as well, but most of them, at least 80% of them, are nominated by someone else. So they made that impact with the community somehow, and maybe not even realizing it.
Yeah, a lot of times we don't see ourselves as that until someone says, "No, you were that person for me."
Well, I certainly didn't see myself as an ambassador or a visionary. I was like, I remember Michael Sandberg, I had an original blog with him, and he interviewed me, and he's like, what would your goal be in some distant future? I'm like, hopefully I could be an ambassador someday. I didn't expect anything else. I was just proud to be part of the community.
Yeah. So like you said, there are tons of talented people in the DataFam. So when you're looking at all the nominations that are coming through, what kind of makes someone go from they're a great contributor to actual rising star?
So this is an important distinction for me, is that I'm looking for ways to include people rather than exclude people. So here's a couple things I'm looking at. What's the consistency of their contributions? Are they making contributions? Are they making contributions potentially in other spaces that aren't as recognized? So, for example, Tableau Public is a great place to connect and collaborate and so forth. But if you're making YouTube videos or if you're making blog posts and not really posting a lot in Tableau Public, we want to make sure those people have voices as well, because they're equally doing something that's impactful for them and that they're passionate about and have the potential to do something unique and different. So I want to encourage everybody, and that's my platform, is like, I want to include as many people as possible and try to exclude as few. And primarily the exclusions would be people that are ambassadors, visionaries, or those that have those that work for Salesforce or Tableau.
Yeah, I love your stance on inclusion. It's really beautiful to see. Are there any kind of examples of contributions that might be overlooked but really kind of stand out to you when you're kind of looking through the nominations?
Yeah, sometimes a lot of people think about, do I have this huge network? Do I have this huge following? But a ton of people are doing great work that may not have a great following at a certain point. Like, at the point that they're nominated, but it takes, some niche that they need to fill or some consistency or more consistency on their part to get to that next level. So that's kind of one thing. And another thing is that there were people like Luigi, who is a friend of mine, San Diego TUG leader. Everybody knows who he is. He wasn't an ambassador for a long time. And I felt bad seeing that. And he finally got recognized and he got his opportunity to shine, but it took a long time for that. And I want to make sure people like him were not lost in the shuffle and that they were celebrated for what they did with the community. And he's done a lot. So I'm tearing up.
Shout out to Luigi and San Diego TUG. Luigi's one of like the hardest working TUG leaders I think there is. So
and
yes,
there are many others like that, but that's just an example because he was part of the community well before I was. Yeah.
So like we've mentioned, you are now on the Salesforce side of things. So are you going to continue to run Rising Stars, or kind of what's the future of the initiative?
So unfortunately, I can't personally run it. I can't lead TUGs. I can't do community quote unquote sponsored events because of my role at Salesforce and my partnership with Tableau. So it kind of takes me out of the running for that. But right now I want to make sure that this continues. I want to give you all the tools possible to make sure that it maintains and that you have the ability and capability of running this. So please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm opening up for anybody that is considering wanting to run this initiative. I'll give you the forums. I'll advise. I just can't be part of the selection process. I'll even promote, but I can't be part of the selection process.
Awesome. Well, we'll put your LinkedIn information in the chat so people have it so they can reach out if they are interested in being the new leader of this initiative.
Or co-leader, yeah.
Or co-leader. So lastly, a lot of folks don't get involved in the DataFam for a long time, myself included. Right. It sounds like you had a big gap between 2011 to, I think you said 2017. Or
2019, yeah.
2019. So what advice would you give someone who wants to become more involved but doesn't really know where to start?
So one of the good things, and this is the proper TUG to do it, is start developing Tableau data visualizations and publishing on Tableau Public. You may be doing same initiatives everybody else is doing, but it gives you an opportunity to share your voice, sharing your visualizations, supporting others, and encouraging learning, not just for yourself, but helping other people learn as well, is a great way to get started. A great part about this community is the selflessness of its members, meaning that they're out to support each other. You have a safety net. You don't feel like anybody's judging you. And that was a big part of what helped me thrive in a community, because I didn't feel like I was being judged for what I was or what I wasn't. I was just able to be part of something and grow and learn with everybody else. And I just think it's an opportunity not only to be part of DataFam Rising Stars and Ambassador Visionary, it's an opportunity for learning and growth. And my biggest growth experience as a person has been part of this community.
That's so wonderful. Thank you so much, Adam. It is always a joy to talk to you. We are so lucky that you were able to take the time and chat with us today. So thank you for being here. Thank you for starting Rising Stars and for highlighting all of these voices in the community. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Lisa, and Tableau Public TUG team. Bye.
Bye. Okay, I'm gonna share and throw it over to Preeti and Ollie Ross Russell.
Oh, we are doing Rosh Khan first, Lisa.
Just kidding, guys. Here we go.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. While we give the opportunity for Rosh to pull up and share his screen, so if we can stop the share. That's great. Okay, while Rosh does that, I'm quickly going to introduce him to the TUG. Rosh's journey into the data hasn't followed a traditional path. He began his career in recruitment, helping companies build and scale their data and technology teams. Through that experience, he became interested by the work his clients were doing, which inspired him to learn Tableau on the side and transition into analytics, which emboldens my claim that there is no singular path to data. You can come from any field that you are working in currently. More on Rosh. After joining the Information Lab in 2025, Rosh completed the Data School's training program in Tableau, Alteryx, and SQL, and consulting. So today he works as a technical lead at major telecom companies, delivering data engineering projects and helping modernize their platforms. While his day-to-day work is mainly focused on data engineering, Tableau remains his passion for design, art, and storytelling with data. Rosh is also passionate about enabling others in the data community. He has written over 45 plus technical blogs, trained and upskilled over 3,000 people in Tableau, 300 people in Tableau. 3,000 would be the next
One day
goal,
would be the
Rosh.
dream.
That's it. Yeah, I'm making your goals for future. And his work has been recognized with 2 Viz of the Days and a 2026 Tableau Rising Star Award. Outside of the work, Rosh enjoys traveling, hiking, daily crosswords, and spoiler alert, keeping active in gym. So we are excited for his Viz of the Day, the gym tracker that he is going to share with us. Welcome, Rosh.
Spoiler alert, indeed. Thank you very much, Preeti. Don't think I could have done a better job myself giving an intro. Can I start with the fact that the song at the start? Oh my god, I loved it to bits. I am definitely putting that on my next Teams meeting. It's going to be a new intro theme song.
It sets the mood, right? It makes a special appearance. I've been telling Lisa that she needs to make music for all of us so that we just start playing them whenever we start talking.
It is great. I'm gonna find excuses to come onto every Tableau Public TUG and just get new intro songs of myself. But yeah, thank you very much, Preeti. Yeah, as Preeti said, my name is Rosh. I work for the Information Lab, which is actually the same company that Ollie Ross Russell works for. I've got a bit of a jam-packed session for the next 30 minutes. So what I plan to go through is
Could you share the screen, Rosh? Sorry, I didn't. Are
Yeah.
you sharing the screens already? I don't see it.
I will share it in just a moment.
Okay, sorry,
I'll
didn't mean
open
to
it up.
interrupt.
No worries at all. I'll start with the a gym tracker visit of the day. Just give you a quick run through of what that looks like in case you haven't seen it already, and then take a bit of a step back and then talk more on the idea side of thing, the visual inspiration, the data collection, modeling, and then go into more of a demo, also almost like a tutorial style Tableau demo of how I made some of the elements there. And then if we have time at the end, I'd love to show you this thing and this world of Inkscape, SVGs, XML. But without further ado, let me get my screen across. Hopefully you can see this all fine. I'll take that as a yes. So this is the dashboard. It's called Heavy Gym Tracker. Why it's called Heavy, we'll get onto that in just a moment. But like any of my other dashboards, it starts with a section at the top, which is a high-level overview into my workouts that I'm doing. And then it has a almost a Z-style pattern and a follow-through and a funnel of how I break that down into smaller and then smaller chunks. So on the top left, you've got this calendar style widget, which tells me how many days for that month I worked out. I can go back and go across multiple, go across months in the back. You got these KPIs that are going on, and I can select another metric to then populate the bar chart that's going on the right hand side. Throughout the dashboard, I've got sort of metrics and comparisons that are going across this month compared to the previous month. From that high level view, you go onto this breakdown of the push-pull leg split, including the abs as well. I've got a 1 rep max comparison. I know a lot of people going to gym care about their 1 rep maxes and how much they can lift. So I've got that going on compared to my best month compared to this current month. I'm going to have to give a bit of a disclaimer at this point, because when I posted this on LinkedIn, Andy Kriebel, he reposted it saying that look how amazing this is my data. That would be almost true, except there's nowhere in this world that I'm doing 60 kg on bench and then doing 115 on a deadlift and squat. It is part of my data, but I did use a ChatGPT to densify it, because you will not catch me doing legs on a gym day. No. I remember there were a few people in the comments calling this out, saying that I've got a really odd ratio between my chest strength and to my squat and deadlift. So putting that right at the start. And then we come on to this this body map, which, in my opinion, is the star of the show. A lot of people asking me about how I made this, asking if I was using extensions or I was using Pythons to come across with the data. It's a lot simpler than you think, and I'll go through that towards the later part of it. Got the option to switch it from a body map to a radar chart, showing the same information, but just in a different view, and it has the element of ranking going on as well. So 1 being the most amount of sets done for this particular muscle, 13 being the lowest. I believe this body map is also interactive, so you can click on something like chest, and the chart on the right should update to only those muscles being worked out and different metrics across that. Finally, you can click on a particular workout I'm doing and see how that's changing across different months as well. So this is a dashboard. It's got a bit of a funny story as to how it came together. One day I was at gym with a friend that I've been friends with for about 15 years now, and this person is he's an interesting character. He's anti-corporate, anti-LinkedIn, anti-meetings, and a lot of the things that are posted on LinkedIn he makes fun out of. So one day I was doing a workout with him, and using this app called Heavy, which is where I collected this data from. I came across a couple of metrics, and I was thinking, it'd be quite nice if I saw this trending across different months, how it compared to last month to date, and so on. And he made a joke about, oh, you should make one of your Tableau dashboards on it. And I was like, do you know what? That's a bloody brilliant idea. I will do so. That's how it started. A couple of months later, many monsters down, many of hours into it, this is what I came up with. Let me show you what that app that I'm talking about. So once again, all of the data came from an app called Heavy, which is an app that lets you track your gym workouts, and essentially shows you your progress over time. And I've got that website right here. And as soon as you go to the website, you sort of see where the visual, the design inspiration came from. You've got elements of data being displayed, data being visualized. You've got that calendar widget that I was talking about. I can click on a particular workout, and it shows me what I was doing that day. That sort of applies across different things as well. So if I go to shoulder, I have been slacking. I apologize, but work's been busy. So it's got some elements of data and visualization going on already. So when I was going through all of these, what I like to call initial research, I had a few things in mind. I wanted to put these together in some sort of a mood board style document, and I was thinking, okay, is what's working, what's not working? If it's not working, why is it not working? How can I visualize it differently? Am I trying to reinvent the wheel, or do I need to keep things simple? And I was with this is visual inspiration and guide. I was trying to balance those things, and there was an element of trying to challenge myself technically as well. And I'm gonna. Some people are gonna hate me for saying this, but I for this one I didn't really plan. I didn't wireframe or get a nice design together. I just picked one thing, made it, and went on to the other, see what was wrong with it, and just sort of continue building on it. So if you are my head coach in this call and listening to me, please ignore that. I did plan. We'll take the widget, for example, the candle widget. It's clean, it's simple, it's nice. It's something I haven't done in Tableau before, though. And I started looking online. Andy Kriebel, great tutorial by Andy Kriebel on how to do one of those. So I put that in my resources to then make on later. On the bottom left, you've got something that almost looks like a table. And then when I'm building my Tableau dashboards, I don't particularly like tables in my dashboards. I know sometimes they are necessary, but if I can try to uplift the table in any way, I would do so. And I believe this is Sam Parsons. Do you correct me if I'm wrong? But Sam Parsons has got a great set of tutorials on how he makes his super tables. You've got a bar chart in the middle. It's simple, it's effective. The only thing I thought it was missing was that it's showing duration, it's showing reps, but not some of the other metrics that I'd be interested in. So I started thinking of bringing those together as well. A line chart on the top right, it works, it's simple, kept it how it was. And then we come to more on the biggest technical challenge for me. We've got a body map, which I think works great in this area. The only thing is Tableau is not really native to body maps. It can do other things, it can do hacky things, or we can make it behave in a different way. How do I go about doing this? And this was where I put most of the research. The one I found the most helpful was a blog by Shreya Arya. She used a website called CBI Studio, which I'll be showing you later as well, on how you convert images into custom shapes or custom polygons. And then finally, on the bottom right bar chart, this is maybe where I over-engineered a little bit, but whenever I see any sports illustrations, I do associate radar charts with it for some reason. And I've never made a radar chart before, so I wanted to see if I could make one. And a blog by Ellen Blackburn that helped me here as well. All of these things that I'm showing you right now, either myself or Preeti will share at the end. So don't worry about that. I'll have that to hand. This is the design and the visual side of things. With any dashboard, you've got two sides, the design visual, but then you've got your data collection and modeling as well. And this part, I've got the data that I was collecting from the app Heavy, and I've also lumped in the data that I needed to make this body map together in one section. Let's go through Heavy. Great app. I'd highly recommend it if you go, Jim. It is free. In terms of data, you've got two options to export data. You can either go down the CSV route, which is free. You can get it anytime. I believe as part of GDPR, you should just be able to export from your app. Or you've got the API version, which you can get if you're subscribed or paying the premium version of it. I went with the free version, and that saw that most of the data there worked for me. Put it through Tableau Prep, or if you want to replicate it, you can do it in any sort of data transformation tool, Python, Alteryx, anything else here would work. And as mentioned before, I did use AI to densify a bit of the data, so that visually the body map, it looks like a body map. And also I used it for one part, which was that Heavy would tell me the workouts that I'm doing and what machines and equipment I'm using. For example, if I'm doing a dumbbell curl, I'm using dumbbells for it. The part it didn't tell me was which muscle was being worked out as a result. So dumbbells would be biceps. And what I did in that instance was got ChatGPT to create just a big, massive lookup table of all possible workouts that I could be doing, the machines I'll be using, as well as the muscles that are associated with it and the muscles being worked out. A bit of time into that got me to a point where I had data that was ready to go. And this data includes the days I was working out, an ID for a workout, and an ID for a particular exercise, the actual name of the exercise, how many sets I was putting into it, the weight, and the reps being done. So this is you can call it almost your fact table. This is your fact table ready. The other part of the puzzle is a body map. I looked at something on a screen, which was an image, and I needed to be able to convert it to something Tableau could easily understand, pick up, and visualize. And I started reading through those resources, and it came down to a simple formula, really. Any image is a pixel that's going across an X and Y axis. You can track those pixels and go across those increments and turn them into your axes. If you do that in a sequence and you capture that sequence, that's the third piece that's missing to convert an image into some sort of shape or polygon. You got your X, Y, and a sequence. And this can be done in many ways. The route I went down using the blog from Shreya was CBI Studio. It is a free tool. It's online, developed by a company called Interworks, and fairly intuitive to use. So I'm just going to give you a quick demo of how this works. I'm going to bring in an image that I was using. So I've got this image. I've selected polygon, and all I really need to do here is roughly start taking or sketching over these shapes. And as I'm doing that, you'll see on the right, you've got an ID for a shape being populated, an X and Y relative to the bottom left of the image. So the bottom left would be a 0, 0, and as it's going up, X and Y is going up. And the sequence these points were following. So I was just there clicking on all of these points. If I go to label, I can give each shape an ID. For example, shape 0, 0 was my left back, and shape 1 was my right shoulder. And it's as simple as just hitting download, getting that data. You've got a few columns. This can almost be ignored. It's just one column that says polygon, but you've got your shape ID, you got the label, X, Y, and the point. And the source comes as an empty column. It ended up being quite useful because I was tracking both the front and the back of a body map. So I just ended up calling it something like back because this was the back view, and I just pasted all those values again. Now, if you want to do this and you've got enough hours and you plot points again and again and again and again to the point where you've got 2,940 points that you've plotted, you're ready for a body map. Again, yeah, this has all the muscles that I could think of, all those muscles labeled, and all the relevant values and columns that I need to plot it. A good thing is this is on Tableau Public, so you can just download and use the data that's sitting with my dashboard. And now we've got to the point where we've got, I guess, data ready, both from a fact table and also from this body map perspective. I'm going to switch over to Tableau now and give you just a quick demo of how I translated this into Tableau. So this is what it eventually looks like when you work through making it. I would say it's fairly simple. There's two routes you could go down. You could go down just making a simple chart that doesn't use map layers, or you could use map layers for it. When I was working with it, I initially started with not using map layers, but I eventually came to a point where I realized that the vision that I've got for this body map would not work, so I switched over to a map layer. But in terms of how you then get it from data into Tableau, you'll see that on the top left, you've got a data source, which is body map, and these are the fields that came from CBI Studio, as well as some calculated fields I've made. I'll walk you through. And I've got my heavy exercises data, which I've just shrunk down to a few fields, just the fields that I need for this. So if I bring my X to columns, my Y to rows, bring point ID to path, if I'm right, and shape ID to detail. And it's pretty much as simple as dragging these fours on, and you've got something that resembles a body map. Now I can go ahead and start playing around with the axis to get the right ratio of my y and x, and do a few other things with it. But one issue that I came across here was that I had tracked both the front and the back of the body map. And if I put them on as they normally are, they start to look a little bit messy. I have to filter one out and go with different worksheets, which is fine. And there are a few things you can do here to overcome this. But sort of this was a point where I realized, okay, I'm going to switch over to map layers because I know they'll allow me to have a little bit more control and flexibility around what I want to achieve. So I'm now going to show you how I did the map layers. We've got an X and Y, and we need to convert them into something that could be understood from a geographic standpoint. And we've got a simple calc called make point. You put your X and Y, double click it, do the same things you did before. So point ID on path, shape ID on detail. At this point, I would have expected something to pop up, but I've got 3,000 nulls on the bottom right, which maps exactly to how many rows I had going on. And what this is saying is that the longitude generated has null values. This stumped me here initially a little bit, but very quickly realized that X and latitude and longitude only go from certain values to certain values. So I think they go from -90 to +90 and -180 to +180, something along the lines of that. And if we look at the data that I'm working with, it's because it's based on an image and pixels, it's going across hundreds and even sometimes to the thousands. So these ones here. And that has quite a simple fix. If something's too big, you shrink it down. So I've got another calc here, which is almost the same as the one before, make point, but I've just divided by 200 to shrink my X and Y. And if I now put that across, I've got something that resembles some sort of a body map. It's not perfect right now. We're getting the same issue of the front and back being overlaid onto each other. And at this point, again, I can either split them into two separate worksheets, or what I could do is I could maybe just, because I'm working with map layers, I have a little bit more flexibility. I can offset my X angle for one of the views. And let me show you my third calculation. And this is what that does. So if my source column says the front, which is again being fed from the CBI Excel file, then keep the calculation as it is. But if the source says back, just shift the X-axis to the right a little bit. If I plot that on, I've got a body map with both front and back. And not only that, I don't have to play around with the X and Y axis because it's fixed to a map, it's fixed to coordinates, which is great. I'm going to give you one tip over here because I faced an issue when I had this. I was cleaning it up, I was putting nice colors on it, and I eventually got it to my dashboard and I started playing around with filters and looking at different dates. It looked something like this. In a theoretical world, let's say for whatever reason, 1 month I only work out certain muscles and nothing else. And if I filter to that, this body map suddenly looks quite weird. I mean, I know what it is because I've been working with it, but if it's someone else looking at it, they would have no clue what's going on. And that's simply because I've filtered out my muscles. And thank you to Ollie Clark in my company, who gave me a tip on the fact that map layers can be stacked on top of each other, but they don't need to be connected in any way, shape, or form. What if I duplicate the same body map that I've got going on, stick a background and an outline to it, and keep this view that I've got going on at the top? And what that looks like is if I right click this data I've got, just duplicate it, which is what this shows over here. And this data only has points associated with my body map. I'm going to bring that same calc that I had before, which looks like this. put it on as a map layer. Now I've got two map layers. This one was the one that was there before. This is the one that I just dragged on now. Going to convert this into a line, bring in some of the same fields I had before, point or path ID on path, shape ID on detail. I'm going to reduce the size of the line a little bit and give it a different sharp color so you can see it. So now I've got two different map layers. One is a red outline and one is the actual filled version of the muscle. I'm going to now bring my filter while I'm on this view and not the outline view, and now filter out some things. Because the two data sources are not connected, the filter being applied to one just does not affect the other one at all. And I think this has opened up my mind to so many new things I want to try out now. But that's pretty much it. And if I, just go through a few cleaning and formatting options, I eventually come to a point where I've got something that looks like this. I feel like it's fairly simple to make something like this. The only thing that the only thing to consider is that it can be time consuming if you're using CBI Studio if you're plotting a lot of the values by default. Now, Preeti, I'll be honest, I haven't been tracking time. Do you think we have a bit of time left to go over and talk about a few SVGs and Inkscape things?
Yes, Rosh, we certainly have time for you.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So the part that I'm going to show you, I was not aware of this before.
And I need to let you know that we did get a chuckle for your fairly simple usage of Word. I was like, what is he talking about? But
it is simple. Yeah, this part that I'm going to show you is something that I was introduced to after I made this. I showed it to a colleague, and the colleague was like, "Hey, why don't you do this? This is a lot simpler." So the idea or the theory here is if I could do this by plotting those points on my screen, what if I can find a way to get any sort of image, automatically create those points, and feed those points through some sort of application or machine that gets those created for me? And this is where Inkscape came in. So I have got a simple image here. Don't know if you recognize this logo or not, but it's beautiful. It's got a few different elements or crosses that are joined together. I'm going to open up a tool called Inkscape. Now, this tool, in my opinion, is another Illustrator software, except it's free, so you can use that. Or if you've got any sort of software, whether on your desktop or online, that lets you take an image and convert it into an SVG, this method would work. So I think I've made one already, perhaps. Let's open this one. Bear with while it loads up. Or it won't, who knows? Yeah, so that's that same image that I had before. I have just gone into Inkscape, I pasted an image, clicked a few buttons, which just included tracing a bitmap. Maybe I can do this right now. If I drag this logo on, press OK, I've got a zoomed out image. Let me shrink it down and let me drag it across. Go to path, hit trace. On the right, I am now converting an image into an SVG. and I can select the threshold of what I want to pass through. So I hit apply on this, and the final thing I need to do is just break this one image into the smaller crosses. And now I've got these individual crosses that I can freely move around. If you save that as an SVG and open that up as a text file, you essentially have a bunch of coordinates and a sequence and a pattern that you can follow for each image, and it's a matter of getting these patterns to be recognized by some sort of software. Now you can use Python here, you can use Alteryx here. There is a free online version called this, which you can use, or even just give it to ChatGPT. So I gave it to ChatGPT. I asked it to convert this XML into an XY path ID and a sequence or shape ID column. It gave me a spreadsheet which looked very similar to what I was showing you before, which has an X, Y sequence being followed and a shape ID. And if I open up Tableau again, get those columns down again. So X goes here, Y goes on rows, shape ID on detail, and I need to get the sequence on path, convert it into dimension. And within sort of minutes, I've got something that I had as an image, converted into an SVG, got it into an XML, got it into CSV, and now it's on Tableau for me to play around with. And these can interact like normal custom polygons if you want to go with it. So you can see that changing. This might be a bit to learn if you've never seen it before. Don't worry, I've got resources that I'll share at the end that should hopefully help you out with it. But for me personally, it's opened up a whole new world to now seeing how far I can go with it, see how far I can take images, SVGs, and do polygon visualization in Tableau. Now I've been going for a while. I think I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna get a sip of water. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, no, thank you, Rosh. And just so you know, you should read the chat, but while I here, if anybody has any questions, please drop them in the QA or in the chat. I'm happy to take it. Everybody has mind blown with the Inkscape thing that you put together. And I love that Michelle just dropped dude in the chat. That is all you need to know for now.
Should I stop sharing or keep it up?
You know what? We can stop the share.
Yeah.
So while I have you here, my question to you is, how much time did it take to you build that Wiz? Because as you said, you did not you just went in with the data and you started playing with it, right?
Yeah.
What does the process look like in that case?
Sometimes I plan and sometimes I don't. The days I plan, I do see myself just taking less time to make something.
Yeah.
But other times I just don't have the luxury to plan. I don't have dedicated time, outside of work hours to just think and get a lot of stuff together, wait for it. And I just like to dig into Tableau and start playing around with it. I'm not sure if I can give you a right estimate. Overall, it took me a month and a half, but this was a month and a half on top of my job. So this was purely either at night time or in the weekend. This is my second visit of the day, which I can say is around a month and a half. My first visit of the day, I did it over 2 days over a weekend. So quite different.
Yeah.
In both.
What keeps you inspired then in that case? Like, where are you coming up with these ideas of wanting to visualize the data?
I'd love to credit myself for this idea, but it honestly goes to my friend who was making fun of me for doing all these Tableau and LinkedIn things. I just wanted to prove him wrong. The ideas, a lot of it, or what I'm trying to do more recently now is wait until a good opportunity arises to solve an actual problem that I feel like exists, whether that's at work or whether that's outside of work. And I think that's where, when there's something that urgently or has a desire to be solved, I think you channel a lot of energy and passion into it. An example I can think of is a colleague of mine had taken data from Octopus Energy, which is a bills and energy supplier.
Yeah.
Sorry, an energy supplier in the UK. Is it across other continents? I don't know. Okay. And he wanted to know how much energy costed at each hour of the day for him to run certain appliances. So he called an API from Octopus Energy, cleaned the data, put it into a dashboard, and had a tablet that he put on his kitchen wall, where his whole family can now see how much it's costing them to run certain appliances every hour. And I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, no, it is
Yeah.
always fun when people productionalize or visualize their needs and convert it into something that people can keep track of. And as Lisa said, Spite can be a very good motivator in case of your friend giving you a hard time and asking you to visualize things. But having said that, thank you, Rosh. Learned a lot of stuff. Didn't realize there existed a CBI studio all together where people could go and play. And I think it is an initial foray into the system. It is a good place to start with if you are trying to map certain things and bring that data into Tableau. So
Absolutely, yeah.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Great tools to go try.
Okay, Eric.
All right, well, let's do some swag. All right, and here we go. So we've got a $50 gift certificate to give away. So let's spin the wheel and see who our lucky winner is. My favorite name on the board is Iris Sun. Sorry, Iris. But Jim Chin, also a winner. I'm going to assume that this is not the Oscar-winning rock climbing Jimmy Chin, but look forward to contacting you and getting you your gift card for anything from the Tableau store. So Jim, I'll DM you here in a bit, or email tablaupublic.tug@gmail.com, and we will get you set up with your gift certificate. All right, that's it for me, and back to Ollie and Rob.
Thank you very much, Eric. That was brilliant, Rosh. Thank you very much. I was Tableau Next at the time, but a DataFam Rising Star. So it's really good to be part of this and showing the new talent coming through. There's some fantastic people out there. I'm really pleased that Ollie and Rosh joined us. They've got two great portfolios, but I'm lucky to introduce Ollie Ross Russell, who's also a data analytics consultant at the Information Lab. He did a degree in mathematics and statistics at Newcastle, and then went on to do some work abroad with a technology company, helping them solve their operational problems and things like that. As we said, he's been recognised in the 2026 Tableau DataFam Rising Stars. He's got a visit of the day, and the golf club overview dashboard he's going to show us is brilliant, but I definitely recommend checking out the rest of his portfolio. There's some really cool bits of work on there. He was also recently nominated at the Tableau conference for 3 of the Visi Awards, so that's a huge achievement in such a short amount of time. Builds a lot of cool sports vises, and outside of work, he's obviously a massive sports enthusiast, regularly plays golf, and supports Fulham Football Club for all those football fans out there. So thank you very much for joining us, Ollie, and look forward to seeing what you've built. I've had a sneak peek, and I think we're getting a live demo as well. So yeah, very exciting.
We are indeed. Thank you, Rob, for that introduction. I'm very glad you shouted out Fulham. I didn't ask for that. Got Chelsea on Monday, so that should be a fun one. Great. I'm going to share my screen just in a second, but thanks a lot for the intro, Rob. Like Rob just told you, I'm Ollie. I'm a data analytics consultant here at the Information Lab as well. Rosh is literally right next door to me. And today I'm going to be taking you through my golf club overview dashboard on Tableau Public, which like Rob says, I was lucky enough to get a visit of the day for. I'll then be taking you through some of the inspiration behind the dashboard, some of the data setup as well, and then we're going to be hopping into Tableau for a scary live demo, which hopefully goes okay. This time making a overview dashboard for a tennis club rather than a golf club. So let me just share my screen here. Great, so I hope you can all see that. This is the Hidden River Golf Club. So this is my golf club overview dashboard. On the left-hand side, this is the navigation pane. So I have my overview. I then have a course and maintenance view, a pro shop view, and also some settings down the bottom. We'll get into that in a little bit, but let's start with the overview. So yeah, this is a golf club. I'm imagining it as if I'm a manager of the golf club, and I want to see kind of what's going on in the day on my course. So I don't know if we've got any golf players or fans out here today, but we'll start off with the clock. So as you can see, this is, well, it's a few minutes late, but when I last refreshed it, it was a live clock there that we've built in Tableau. I then have a couple of KPIs telling me how many rounds have been played today and how many remaining tee times there are. And then I have the tee time sheet. So this is filtered down to today, the 20th of August. And you can see all of the different available tee times that I had. Where they're grayed out, that's obviously because the time has passed. So the whole idea of this dashboard is that it's almost, it's live in Tableau Public, which I thought is really cool. And so yeah, we've got the grayed out ones that have already passed. Then we have some available tee times and the booked tee times in orange, where you can see we have some different names, ages, and handicaps on the tooltips there. Then on the right-hand side, we have our course. So this is an 18-hole course I completely imagined, and I did some design in Figma, which was one of my favorite parts of building the dashboard. But here you can see all the 18 holes, the different pars, and the yardages there. And then we have a little course status indicator on the bottom right-hand side. So these are all little shapes, so you can hover over to see the name of the hole, the par, and also the maintenance status. So you might have noticed some of these are orange. I've imagined that these holes are under repair on my golf course. Now, if I go to the course and maintenance view, we can see a little bit more about the course. So I've got an even more intricate Figma design of my golf course. That's how much fun I had kind of doing the design behind it. But this is showing you pretty much the same thing, all of the different holes, their names, and the maintenance status on them. We then have our staff rota for the greenskeepers working at the golf course. So I can either view the rota for today or tomorrow. And there I can see the different staff members that are working, the different tasks, and the different holes as well. This Pat is actually my friend who's a greenskeeper, so I thought I'd have to put him in there. And then we also have current maintenance. So these holes that are highlighted in orange, I've said the reason why they're currently under maintenance there. Our third view is the pro shop view. So this is looking at sales, profit, and orders, really. If you've seen, I'm sure you have all seen, Superstore dashboards in Tableau Public. So this takes inspiration from those dashboards, but then, of course, in the view of a golf club. So as you can see, my pro shop is doing tremendously well. I've done over £1 million of sales in the last 12 months, which is terrific. So yeah, we have our KPI kind of style cards on the left-hand side. You can, of course, hover over for different tooltips there. And then we have a category breakdown on the right. So we can view this by sales, profit, or orders. I'll go for profit here. Then we have our 5 different categories of things that we're selling in our shop. And if we select one of the categories, we can then view the sales performance down below. So if I'm on clubs here, I can see with this gauge chart that clubs were made up 61% of sales in the last 12 months, and iron sets were our bestseller, although you can see they were down about 20% from the 12 months prior to that. Then lastly, I'm just going to quickly show you, I've got some date and time settings in here. So because the overview is kind of live and it's using the time from my laptop, which is of course in the UK in London, I thought I should put in some interactivity for if you're viewing this from another country. So here you can select different time zones, or you can manually adjust the time here, and also selecting today's date. So a bit like Rosh's calendar, I've got a calendar there too. So I'll just quickly show you if we have anyone live from Brazil. Hopefully it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon there, and live demo. If I selected that, let's just try that one more time. That should update our tea times, so that, there we go. So it's now 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we can see we have a few more tea times available this afternoon. So that's the dashboard. I'm going to now jump into my slides and talk to you about some of the inspiration behind the dashboard. So first off, sports vizzes on Tableau Public. I think any sports fan that's been on Tableau Public has spent hours looking through the thousands of sports visualizations that are there. And there are a load of really, really good ones. I've picked out 3 here that are, I guess, centered to golf. So we have some dashboards based on real golf tournaments like the Masters. We then have Superstore style dashboards. So this dashboard here, I really took inspiration from to create my Pro Shop view. That dashboard was by Patrick Maguire. And then we also have this TPC Sawgrass course view. So this is a more design orientated dashboard, which is what I was looking at when I was designing my course in Figma. Then next up, genuine golf booking pages. I play a lot of golf myself, so I'm always trawling through Golf Now and different booking sites where you see this kind of style, all the available tee times at different prices, etc. That's kind of what I wanted to create in Tableau, as if, like I said, as if I was a manager at a golf course. Then finally, I guess, all live looking dashboards, and especially clocks in Tableau. I was fascinated by seeing clocks in Tableau Public, which were showing the right time. So this dashboard you can see here, and the associated blog was by Gwilym Lockwood, and I'm going to take you through how to actually create those clocks in Tableau. But first up, I'm just going to go through some of the data behind the dashboard. So I had 4 different data sources really, comprised of sheets in Excel, and ChatGPT did a lot of the help here. So I'll take you through them one by one. First up, we have the clock. So you might be surprised at how simple this really is, but this is all the data we need to bring into Tableau. So just 2 columns, time unit, where we have hours and minutes, and then path ID, which is either 0 or 1. Obviously, this is going to need some calculations. So I think there's 7 calculated fields that I'm going to take you through later, and a little bit of trigonometry there to get your clock in Tableau. Then next up, we have the members and the tee times data source. So I started by creating a member table here. So I had something like 120 different members at my golf club. Just giving you a screenshot here of some of them. We have their names, their membership types, then also their join dates and their handicaps. So I generously gave myself a 0 handicap. I'm not actually that good. Then on the right hand side, we have our tee times. So this is where I got ChatGPT to essentially give me all the available tee times for every day from the start of 2025 till the end of 2028, I think. So I better update the dashboard at the end of 2028, or it will break if anyone's still looking at it then. And then on the right hand side there, you can see our member IDs. So that's just randomly assigned one of the member IDs from our base table on the left to these different tee times. Related them, of course, in Tableau on member ID. So if I go and look at any of these tee times on the right, I can see the associated member and some of their details as well. Next up, we have the course and maintenance view. I'll quickly go through this. It's pretty similar to the last one, really. So on the left-hand side, we have the course that I created. As you can see, 18 holes. I gave a name to all of the different holes as well. Then I just made up the pars, yardages. This is where I inputted my maintenance status as well. Then we have stuff like temporary greens and temporary tees alongside the maintenance. Then on the right-hand side, similar to the tee times, really, this is our staff rota for the maintenance. So For each day, we had whichever staff were working, then the different tasks they were doing, and then randomly assign them a whole that they'd be working on for the day, and related that on whole number there to join the two of them together. Then finally, we have our Pro Shop view. So to create this, I really simply just gave ChatGPT a little bit of Superstore and said, can you change the categories and the products to make it a bit more specific for a golf shop? So you're more likely to find stuff like clubs, apparel, and accessories in a golf shop than you are like tables or whatever's in Superstore. So I changed that there, have the different products there. Really simple stuff to make my KPIs. So let's jump into Tableau now and remake the dashboard, but we're going to slim it down a little bit, and we're also going to do it for a tennis club, hopefully creating 3 different sheets to make something that looks a little bit like this. First up though, I'm just going to quickly take you through the data behind the tennis club. So we've got 3 different sheets here. We have clock, members, and court booking. So clock is exactly the same as what I use for the golf club dashboard. There you can see we have time unit and path ID. Then we once again have our members table. So 120 different members of our tennis club here, different membership types and their join dates. Then finally, we have our court booking. So this is where it differs a little bit from our golf data, because when you're booking for golf, there's usually tee times about every 10 minutes. That wouldn't be reasonable for a tennis club. So I've given a time slot every hour, but I've also included 4 different courts at our tennis club. So you can see we've got now court ID as well. So that's all we need. So we can now hop into Tableau. And so just to take you through the 2 data sources here, we have the clock and then the court bookings, which was just a relationship between those 2 tables that I showed you there, court bookings and members. So let's start with clock. Now, for the clock, the main function we're going to want to use, which you may have seen before in Tableau, is now. As you can see, when I put now into rows, we are returned with the current date and the current time. That's for me here in the UK, so you can see it matches the bottom right there. But to make our clock, we don't actually need that whole thing. We don't need the dates and we don't need the seconds. So we're going to make a couple of calculations just to extract what we need. The first one is hours. All we want is the hour from now. So I'm going to use the date part function. And I want to see the hour from now. Just going to quickly check that. 18, perfect, 6 p.m. And we're going to do a very similar thing with minutes. We want the date part, looking for the minute of now. Great. So we'll check our minutes as well. And that seems to be working. But you might, well, you of course know that on a clock, the hour hand doesn't point at the hour for the whole hour. So for example, if it's 4:30, it's not going to point at 4 for the whole hour. It's going to creep from 4 to 5. So for that reason, we want to create another calculator field called exact hours. And what this is going to do, I'll just zoom in a little bit on these notes, is it's going to add the fraction of the current hour that is passed. So we're going to look at hours. And then what we want to look at is our minutes divided by 60. So that's that fraction of the hour that has passed. So if it's half past 4, it's going to give 4 plus 30 over 60, 4.5 for our exact hours. So now we want to relate these back to our data via time unit. And what that's going to do is give us one field for the values that we want to plot. So for this, I am going to say if our time unit from our data is equal to hours, then we want to see the exact hour. Else, I'm just going to write this out in full just to make it super clear. If we're looking at minutes, then we want our minutes. Fantastic. So that's combined the exact hour that we need and the minutes that we need into one field. And what we can get from that is the angle. So here we want to convert the number that we have, the time value, into an angle around the clock face. So hours, of course, there's 12 different positions around the clock face, and minutes there are 60. So we're going to convert these into degrees here. So I'm going to say if the time unit is hours again, then we want the time for plotting that we just calculated. And I want to divide that by 12 for the possible slots of hour. And I'm going to times that by 360 to give us our total around the circle. And do a very similar thing here, once again for minutes. We want to grab our time for plotting, this time dividing it by 60. And once again, timesing it by 360. Now, you might have seen that final note that I put there. And so when we looked at our hours earlier, we saw that they were in a 24-hour clock. So we're seeing 18 instead of 6 for the PM. Now, you might think that's going to produce an angle above 360. But luckily for us, a clock is circular, so it repeats. So 18 is going to produce 540, which is the exact same position as 180. So we actually don't need to worry about that, luckily. So there we have our angles. I'm going to quickly jump back to the slides here, because we unfortunately need to go back to school and do a little bit of trigonometry. So we have our theta here. This is the angle we just calculated. Now, a little bit of trigonometry will tell you that the x coordinate that we need to plot is going to be calculated using sine theta, and the y value is going to be calculated using cos theta. Now, the only thing we need to remember here is that Tableau natively uses radians instead of degrees. And as I've just calculated our angles in degrees, we're going to need to convert them to radians. So here are x and y coordinates. I won't bore you with writing these out again. But what these are doing is converting them into an x coordinate and then also relating them back to the path ID that we saw earlier. So what path ID does is it's controlling where the start and the end points of each hand are. So when path ID is 1, that's where we're going to want to go to the end of our hour hand and the end of our minute hand. So this is the calculation we have here. When it's hours, it's sine of the angle we just calculated. That's converted to radians. Then when it's minutes, it's the exact same equation, but we've times it by 1.6 there. That's just because we want our minute hand to be longer than our hour hand as it is on a clock. Then else 0, that's for when path ID is 0. We're going to go back to the center, which is 0, 0. For y, it's the exact same thing there, but instead of sine, we've used cos, just a nod back to our trigonometry. And that's it. So 7 different calculated fields, and you are ready to build a live clock in Tableau. So if I drag X to our columns and Y to our rows, we get given 1 point there. So what we need to do is drag time unit into detail. And that's going to give us 2 different points. So that's for our hours and our minutes. And if I change this to line, it's going to join them up directly, but that's where our path ID comes in. And that's going to take us back to 0, 0. So we're getting there, but what we need to do now is edit our axes. And I'm going to fix these to -2 up to 2 on the y-axis. And also -2 to 2 on the x-axis. And now we're looking a little bit more like a clock, which to me looks like it's pointing pretty near 6:24, which is great. So I'm going to hide our headers here. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to dual axis this Y. Remember to synchronize my axes. And then I'm going to change this one into a circle just to make it look a little nicer. Let's also make it all a bit bigger. Why don't we change the color there? Great. So I'm going to hide the headers there, and that really is it. That's our clock built. The only thing that, of course, it needs is some numbers behind it, so you can actually tell the time, but we'll come to that once all these sheets are put into our dashboard at the end. So next up, we're looking at the timesheet. So what we need here is all the different court bookings for the current day. So the first port of call here is to filter to just the current day. First, I'm going to change our data source to look at our court bookings. And I have a field here ready to write in. So what we need to do is filter the date to just today. So this is the date within our data. And we're just going to use the today function in Tableau. So this is similar to the now function that we've been using, but today is going to give you just today's date. So it's going to give us a simple Boolean that we can drag to filters and click true. Now, anything that we drag in from now is going to be, it already knows that I want to do a shape. I'm just going to put that text for now. Everything that we drag in now is going to be filtered down to today. So let's check that. Let's drag date to our columns here. And hopefully we see the 20th of August. That's great. Let's make that a little bit bigger. Fantastic. Now, of course, we now have different courts at our club, so I want to drag them onto columns as well. So we should see the 4 different courts there. Once again, I'm just going to format that to make that look a little bit nicer. Great. And finally, into our rows, we want to bring in all the different time slots for our tennis club. And this is looking a little bit more like it. So now we can see that from 6 a.m. until 10 at night, we have all these different available slots for our tennis club. This is where I'm going to change back to a shape. And I've already preloaded a little button in there, which I think works really well for the kind of booking system style dashboard. And I want to control drag time into label. And now we can hide that header, and that's looking good. That's all the available court bookings for today, the 20th of August, on all the 4 different courts. But now what I really want to do is color these according to whether the time's already passed or whether someone else has already booked them. So let's start with the time already passing. What we need to do here is compare the booking slot hour with the current hour using now. So we're going to go back to our date part function, grabbing the hour from the time slot. Oh. And we're going to say, is that less than or equal to the current hour that it is now? Once again, that's another Boolean. So time pass, let's drag that onto color, check if that's working. Great, so we can see that time pass is true. That's for all of the times before 6 o'clock. And then any of them in the future, we've got false. I'm going to drag that off color for now, because we're going to move on to our second one, which is booking status, which is really simple. We want to know whether the court at that time has been booked. So in our member ID column, if there's no member ID, that's going to mean the court's available. If there is a member ID present, that means it's booked. So here I'm going to say if member ID is null, then available. Else, I'm going to call it booked. Let's drag that booking status onto color. And there we can see, that looks about right to me, about 70 or 80% of our courts are booked today. I'm going to take this off, and you might now be wondering why I've colored them, done those 2 Boolean fields separately there, and why I've not just done a long calculation to color exactly what I want to. I think this is quite a neat trick in Tableau. If I control and hold on the 2 Booleans there and drag them both onto color, then it's going to give me the 4 different combinations of the 2 Booleans, which I can color by. So if I now go to color, I can see, so the way I kind of decipher these labels is if you look at the edit colors at the top here. So first we have our time passed, then we have our booking status. So for our time passed, if any time passed is true, we know we want to gray them out. So I'm going to do that now. Then for any time slots in the future, if they're available, why don't we make them green? And if they've already booked, let's make them purple. And there we have it. That looks just like my one in the golf course dashboard did. And I think that's ready to go into our dashboard at the end. But I've got one more sheet, which is looking at court percentage indicators. So what I want to see here is the most popular courts on the day. So once again here, we're going to want to drag our filter date is today in, because we only want to see today's courts. Oh, sorry, I should also mention I have done a little bit of scaffolding here. So column and row is just splitting these courts. So we've got court 1 here, court 2 here, court 3 here, court 4 there. But like I said, we want to bring in date is today to filter down to today. Say that's true. And now let's change this to a bar chart. I want to see the total amount of bookings that are possible. So I'm just going to use the count of court bookings there, which is auto-generated for me. And you can see that each court has 17 potential bookings there. We can bring booking status onto color, which is the field we just created. And there we can see for each court the number of available and the number of booked slots. So court 2, for example, has 11 booked slots and it has 6 available slots. Now I actually want to see the percentage here. So I'm going to create a table calculation and I want to see the percentage of total. But as you see here, why are we only going up to 50%? We think there's something wrong with our compute, which indeed there is. We want to compute using cell. So that's looking at each court individually. And there we should be able to see the percentage of bookings. So I'm going to copy that over to label. I also want to see my court on label. I'm just going to quickly edit this. So on court X, that percentage is booked. Great, so that's what we need there for our indicators. Let's hide these headers and let's change our colors to what they were before. So for booked, we had purple. And for the available slots, we had green. That looks good to me. So we're very nearly there. Let's now go into our dashboard and hopefully our 3 sheets have made us a nice looking dashboard. So on the left-hand side, we have our booking sheet. This is showing us all of our available court bookings on the day. As you can see, I could do some work to tidy up the tooltips and introduce which members maybe booked some of these slots. Then in the middle, we have our clock, which is working. I'm just going to come out of here for now. As you can see, it's now at 6:33. So if we just go to our data, refresh our clock, fingers crossed that updates as it does. And then finally, we have our court availability on the right-hand side. I've overlaid a little tennis court image on top. So that's just a transparent PNG there, just for an extra bit of design. But yeah, that's it really. That is 3 sheets, and it's really using the same ideas I had behind my golf overview dashboard. And I think when you add this design part at the end, it's kind of what elevates it from a bunch of charts to like what seems like a live product. And I think that's kind of the inspiration behind my viz in the first place. So thank you very much for having me. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to take them.
That was fantastic, Ollie. There's a lot of pressure doing a live demo, and you absolutely nailed that. So well done to start with. And you highlighted loads of great functions and tricks and tips you can use in Tableau that are native in there, the now, the date, and the things like that. So yeah, fantastic to see. Not many questions. There's a lot of love in the chat. I'll let you read it afterwards. But just a couple of questions for me. Obviously, you have gone through, I know about the data school and all the learning and things you do in that. Have you got any tips to people sort of starting out on their Tableau journey? Anything that you were taught that you'd give to people who are starting out?
I think the main tip that I give to anyone when I meet them, maybe if they come into like a meet and greet at the Information Lab and they've never really used Tableau before, is just get into Tableau Public, look at any viz that you like, and most of the time you can download it and see what they've done behind the scenes. And I know a lot of people say it, but when I started using Tableau and I was inspired by all these really amazing visualizations, anything that looks impossible, I always think, wow, how do you do that? So I download it, go into the worksheets, and sometimes you think you still don't understand. But sometimes you can then find a blog, which is kind of going to help you progress from there and, yeah, get on that learning curve, I guess.
Yeah, definitely great advice. I always download people's workbooks. And I'd also add to that, if you are looking at someone's and you don't fully understand it, I'd say reach out to them. Pretty much everyone in the community is so welcoming and always
100%.
happy to chat about their vises they've built, especially if someone else is looking at it. We all love to show off what we've done.
Yeah.
The other thing one I loved on your profile, you did a recreation of the sports ball. The guy who draws he basically draws sports events, doesn't he? He draws them out live.
Yeah.
How much fun was that to build?
Really, that was really, really good fun. I saw the video on Instagram Reels, and I was just like, that looks like a Tableau dashboard. I was like, I have to make that. So I then got into Figma, I even tried to recreate like the grid background and the font that like looked a little bit sketchy on it. Posted that on LinkedIn, didn't really think much of it. And the guy at Sportsball even reached out saying, wow, this is amazing. So that was a really nice kind of full circle moment for me there. But yeah, no, that was a really good fun one. I think the problem I have with the dashboards is I love my sport so much that I need to do other ones. I want to do other ones.
Yeah.
But then I'll see something like that and I'm like, okay, I've got to do that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm the same. I do a lot of sports dashboards. I just say to anyone, if you're visiting about what you love, you're more likely to want to learn more and learn all different techniques to recreate these things. So there's definitely 100%. Nothing wrong with having a passion on there. It definitely shines through in your work. And yeah, thank you for sharing it with us and coming along to the TUG.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome. Back to you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you all again so much. There was a lot of great content in these presentations, a lot of passion, some spite. This was a really, really good one. And thank you all so much. It's really easy to see why you are part of the Rising Stars cohort this year. It's some really amazing, amazing work you guys are putting out there. Okay, our next meeting is one you don't want to miss. We've got not one, not two, but all three of the 2026 Iron Viz contestants. So Kevin Wee, Brian Moore, and Champion Ann Pregler are going to be here to go behind the scenes of the Vizes that they built for us live in 20 minutes at TC. So you don't want to miss this one. It will be same time on September 17th. And with that, thank you all again. Thank you to Adam, to Ollie Ross, and to Rosh for being here to present and for great conversations and for sharing so much. I think we all learned something during this meeting and had a lot of fun. So thank you. We will see you all back here again on the 17th of September. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.